Hello, this is Silver speaking. I hope that my phone's microphone picks up the sound of my voice clearly and without any interferences. And I hope that my voice is not annoying because I really just want to put out some relaxing storytelling based on some stories that I tell myself as I am about to sleep. So I suppose this falls under the genre of sleep stories, relaxing stories, if you will. And this story is part of the It's Not Much, but It's Company series of sleep tales by Silver, who is me. This series will feature several recurrent characters and won't be narrated in a linear way. It will feature several points of view and will always be narrated in the past tense. Taking that, I continue doing this series, of course. These are stories with queer characters, just as a small warning. There will be no major conflicts, as that would defeat the purpose of these being relaxing stories. They were written by me, but aren't particularly creative, as goes with this kind of story. The idea is to tell a story that is simple, focused on sensations, and where nothing bad happens. I do hope you enjoy listening to this and that it helps you in some way. And if you don't, I ask you to please click back and ignore it. I'm sorry this showed up on your feed or you stumbled on it. But overall, I just hope you enjoy it. So, this first story is called Elliott's Flower Shop. It was one of those rainy mornings in April. Elliott had already woken up and was sitting by the window with his yellow plastic spraying bottle to ensure that his little plants poking their sprout out of their handmade pots would thrive. Elliott had made those pots himself in his pottery classes. They were nice and smooth, painted in many different colors and in many different patterns: purple, blue, green, orange, red, pink, some with mixed tones, trying to keep up with the color wheel. It was fun to take a sneaky peek at the cheat sheet when the tutor wasn't looking and told the class to follow their intuition. Elliot could do that, but it was much more fun to be caught looking at a silly piece of paper he'd drawn himself. You don't need to look at that, the tutor teased. Elliot grinned in response and carried on with the pottery. It was a little hobby, one he'd taken up because it wanted to engage with his community and support the local initiative to have more activities. In his free time, though, he painted and he drew. His job was rewarding. The flower shop he had inherited from his grandmother was still a hit in the community, and he had diligently learned how to arrange the flowers and ensure that they were well cared for. Each had a name, each had its own little quirks, its own do's and don'ts, and he was mindful of that, having memorized his grandma notebook and keeping it safe in his little cottage. On rainy days, like that one, with the pitter patter of the droplets of water against the roof and the colourful windows, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he could stay home. Not many people would want flowers. He tried to convince himself, but it never worked. After spraying his little sprouts and ensuring they were doing well, he got up and went to wash his hands before preparing his morning coffee. The whistle of the shiny grey mocha pot and the scent that waved around the kitchen made him truly want to stay in, but he couldn't. So he stared at the rain as he drank his delicious coffee, steaming and white with cream, fogging up his glasses. He then traded his soft house slippers for his galoshes and raincoat before getting his umbrella and leaving for work. Say what you may, rainy weather was never bad weather, and he enjoyed the walk, jumping over puddles, resisting the urge to jump into them, and laughing when he got splashed, when he accidentally did. The flower shop couldn't be missed, with its big red door, the oak freshly painted over by none other than himself, and equally red windows with flowery motifs in shades of green. There were many flowers outside, the sturdy ones that loved to get soaked. And as he put the big old key in the hole and locked the door, he felt the warmth and shook his umbrella before putting it in the brown bin to drain. Then he hung his raincoat and swapped his galoshes for work boots before focusing on checking the flowers, one by one, carefully removing any dead leaves, taking in their sweet scents, smiling at the buds, carefully ensuring the ones meant for arrangement were fresh and not drowned, before carefully watering all of them with the correct amount of water. He wondered if someone would show that day, what with all the rain that wasn't stopping, and turned on the radio, playing some of his favorite jazz tunes by Dizzy Gillespie. There wasn't much to do on days like that. He thought about what he could do when he sat behind the counter, after checking all the plants, and soaking in the comforting warmth of their colourful, soft beauty. So he picked up a sketch pad and started scratching away, mindlessly, running the black tip of his pencil on the texture white paper, until lines gave way to forms, and flowers started blooming on his sheet. After a while, and with the bouquet on his sketch pad, he placed it on the counter to go get himself a hot cup of tea. It was a service the shop offered, coffee and tea for the customers and some snacks. When the baker dropped by, with a little basket full of delicious bread and pastries, freshly baked, still warm. Elliott had finished making his tea, adding a splash of milk to it, when the little bell of the door jangled, and he looked at it. "Hello." "It's really boring, isn't it?" Elliott asked with a smile, seeing the baker struggle and going to help. The baker's name was Cole, but they didn't like gender pronouns. Everyone in the community respected that. The other, the older ones needed a little bit of care and patience to understand. But Cole's dad, the master baker, was the first to support his child, and what ultimately made them all accept it was Cole's mom. You see, Cole was a twin, but their twin had been sadly lost in the womb, so, to explain why their child was plural, they said Cole was both of them. That was a little lie, of course, but it worked like magic. Elliot was always a little flustered when he saw Cole, and his smile was just a little less confident. Cole smiled back and flicked the droplets of water from their curly, ashy blonde hair that starkly contrasted with their big brown eyes and tanned skin, and then put their green raincoat on the hanger. Elliot took the baskets and went to the counter to get the money, as Cole passed him the receipt and sighed. "Can I offer you a cup of tea? I just bought some water and was about to drink my own," Elliot offered with a smile. "That will be great," Cole said, and leant against the counter before Elliot quickly got them a chair. "Oh, cheers," they said, and took it, sitting down behind the counter with him as he poured them a cup of tea, and did it as he knew he liked, as he knew they liked. 1 white, 2 sugars. That was a bit of a ritual on rainy days, and Elliot could never get mad at Way, for many reasons, and surely that was one of the main ones. "Oh, this is nice," Cole said, looking at the discarded sketchpad Elliot had forgotten, as Elliot passed them the tea and blushed a little. "Can I have a look? Are you a secretive artist?" they asked playfully. Elliot sat down and sighed, grabbing his mug and feeling the warmth of the brown ceramic sip into his hands and bloodstream. "I'm not. You can have a look." Cole leafed carefully through the pages. Some of them were watercolors, not just sketches, and Elliot was a bit shy about his art since his grandma left. But Cole's eyes were shining, and they clearly enjoyed it. So it was fine. "Oh, people," Cole noticed, and Elliot felt the warmth of his tea slide treacherously onto his cheeks. But he was glad that he drew a lot of people. Cole sipped on their tea when they stopped by a sketch of their own face. A very prominent sketch, Elliot remembered, carefully drawn and line, which didn't do to all his sketches. "It's me," they said and smiled, and Elliot looked at them, seeing their cheeks turn a bit magenta as they looked at the drawing. "It's flattering. You're really talented. It's nice to see a lot of people from the community here," they commented. "Surrounded by your flowers, too," they said. It was true. Elliot started by drawing flowers around before thinking of the people those flowers reminded him of. Mrs. Higgins was obviously a hyacinth, and Mrs. Davenport was naturally all the daffodils. Cool? Carnations. I like carnations, and I might take some, actually, they said and put the sketchpad aside, seeing all the drawings, including the freshly started one of flowers in the rain. They sat there, with the jazz softly playing with with Dizzy Gillespie really enjoying himself and the sound of the rain pattering against the glass of the windows. They drank their tea in silence, occasionally looking at each other and smiling. Elliot felt silly. Perhaps both did. They'd been schoolmates. They'd known each other for their whole lives, as adults, with their jobs. Still in the same little town, with the same little community, they couldn't string words together that didn't relate to their jobs or hobbies. Cole enjoyed crochet, a silly little hobby, in their own words, but it was good, especially on rainy days, and especially because it let them give it give all their loved ones handmade gifts. That's when they gingerly pulled out a little bag from their pocket and handed it to Elliot, who was surprised. What is this? A little gift for all the tea we have together, and the company and chats, they said, and Elliot pulled out what looked like a crochet succulent. He had some for sale. It's not just what it looks like. Pull the leaves. Elliot obeyed, and Cole chuckled, seeing his surprised face when the leaves came off. They were coasters, a set of 4. This is wonderful, what a perfect gift, Elliot said, honestly, grinning and putting the coasters on the counter, side by side, so that they could use them. And when you're done using them, you put them back in the pot, and it's just another plant in your flower shop. Cole said with a smile. I'm happy you liked it. They started chatting about their hobbies, of course, and then their jobs. By the time Elliot had a customer, he'd already put the coasters back in the pot, and it looked just like a small succulent. What a sweet pair, you, Mrs. Higgins said, and they were both a little coy. But she paid no mind to that. It's raining so much, but I do want my Yasin's, Elliot dear. Elliot patted from behind the counter and carefully crossed the old ceramic tiles, faded orange but still intact, and carefully put together her bouquet on the arrangement station. Then he carefully wrapped it with thin, clear film to protect the flowers from the rain, and handed them to the older lady, who smiled. She paid for her purchase and hummed. Tea? Elliot offered politely. No, no, darling, I have to go in a moment, she said and smiled. But you know, we're a loving place. You two make a lovely pair, she said that and didn't waste time to excuse herself, get her umbrella and leave. Elliot sighed and looked at Cole, who was also flustered. Well, Elliot scratched the back of his neck. If you're interested, since they keep saying that, we could maybe go for a walk in the meadow when it's not raining. I've been meaning to go there and paint. Cole smiled a little. You have a deal then, they said inside, standing up. I'll take some food. It can be a little picnic too. All right, that sounds even better, Elliot said and smiled. Cole got up and sighed. I have to go back and help my parents. But we have a deal. On a day when it isn't raining, we'll go to the meadow. Smell you later, they said, and went to get their raincoat and umbrella before they waved their goodbyes. Elliot sat down on his chair behind the counter and grabbed his sketch pad again and the pencil. It started on some roses in the rain. And perhaps a person could be among them. And he could do a vibrant watercolor. The end.